It's Randy Orton. Oh.
I have voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.
Hey guys, how's it going? Mr. Beat8990 here, and today I thought I'd do I guess it's kind of an original audio video. I mean, I've never seen anyone do it, but I'm sure there probably has been maybe someone that's done this before. But this is basically, luckily I've managed to, luckily the number 50 has, you know, come up, like these, in total, so that's quite lucky. But these are just basically pay-per-views from the WWE, WWF, that I will basically, I will always remember, whether it's because they're a really good pay-per-view, just a really good show, maybe because it's really bad, maybe a certain event happened on it, and yeah, just that sort of thing. So, the first pay-per-view I'll never forget is WrestleMania 1, and it's not necessarily because of, you know, any certain match, or, you know, it's just the fact of, you know, it was the first WrestleMania, and it really was kind of like, the spectacle was just, it's just a great spectacle, and it was actually a fun show to watch. It may have not been the best wrestling show, but it was a fun show to watch, and, you know, it's the first of many WrestleManias, so I think, quite rightly, WrestleMania 1 deserves to be on this list. Second is another WrestleMania, WrestleMania 3, and this show was just a really good show to sit through. You know, obviously you had Savage and Steamboat, you know, tear the house down, show-stealing match. Hogan and Andre, just an amazing spectacle. The Irresistible Force meeting the Immovable Object. And yeah, some solid undercard matches as well. And just a really kind of, it just felt like such a big event, that show. And it felt like a big spectacle, almost bigger than the first WrestleMania. So, yeah, next one, Royal Rumble 1992, and this is mainly just because of one match, and that is the 1992 Royal Rumble. The best Rumble, in my opinion, just a really awesome Rumble to watch, especially the story with Ric Flair, you know, entering at number 3 and lasting all the way to the end, and there's some great names in there as well in that Royal Rumble, like, you know, obviously you had Flair, Hogan, Undertaker, Sid, young Shawn Michaels, just so many great names in that Rumble. Just a really enjoyable Rumble to sit through. Next, we go to 1993 with the first ever King of the Ring pay-per-view. Now this was a really good show, some great wrestling and stuff, but I like to call this show the Bret Hart show. Bret Hart had 3 really good matches on this show, and, you know, just the first King of the Ring pay-per-view, just a really fun show to watch, and you know, that performance by Bret Hart is just something memorable, something I'm always going to remember from Bret Hart. Next, we go on to WrestleMania 10, and this, again, with most WrestleManias, this felt like such a big event, big spectacle, and you had 2 amazing matches. You had the opener between Bret and Owen Hart. I would probably say that was the best match of 1994, and then the ladder match between Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels. These 2 matches were the best 2 matches of 1994, and were just awesome matches. And obviously you had Bret recapturing the title as well, which was a great moment against Yokozuna. Just a really kind of fun show to sit through and enjoy. So WrestleMania 10, very enjoyable. Next, this next pay-per-view is not necessarily that good. It's WrestleMania 11. This is a terrible show. This is literally why I remember it, is because of how bad it was and the pain of sitting through, just watching, you know, the likes of King Kong Bundy versus The Undertaker, and oh god, and that's not even the worst of it. The only saving grace is Shawn Michaels versus Diesel. But I will never forget this show and how bad it was. Next we go on to King of the Ring 1995, and oh god, this is even worse. Like, I will never forget how bad the show was. I mean, the best match of the night was between the Roadie and Crash Holly. I mean, what does that say? And oh my god, Mabel winning King of the Ring was just, oh my god. Looking back on it, it's just hilarious, and just what were they thinking? So that is why I'll always remember King of the Ring 1995, because of how shit it was, essentially. Next, we go on to a pay-per-view that's a lot better. a lot better. WrestleMania 12. Again, a lot of WrestleManias on here just because these feel like big-time shows. And once again, you have the Iron Man match. Just a great match. A great moment in the career of Shawn Michaels. One of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time. And I think that's a good enough reason to put WrestleMania 12 on a memorable list. Next pay-per-view, King of the Ring 1996. This had some great historical... when you look back on it, this is a show that really affected the history of the Monday Night Wars, and Austin winning King of the Ring, that was a real kind of game changer for the WWF, and also it was also a good show as well. I mean, you had like Shawn Michaels and the British Bulldog, Austin and Mark Merrow had a good match. So yeah, I think King of the Ring 1996, a good show overall, and one of the shows that will never be forgotten and will be looked back on as a history-defining show. Survivor Series 1996. This is another historical show, I think. It's got a lot of kind of historical significance. I mean, with the likes of, the debut of Rocky Maivia, who would later go on to be a certain wrestler called The Rock. You had also loads of really good matches. You had Shawn Michaels and Psycho Sid. Austin and Bret had an amazing match that was a few months before their WrestleMania 13 match, and it was a really good bar setter for the matches that they would have in the future. And Survivor Series 1996, just one of the best Survivor Series of all time. Just an awesome show, awesome matches, and some really awesome moments. Next, go to WrestleMania 13, and this is a show that's not necessarily great, but this is not why it's such a memorable pay-per-view. It's mainly because of one match, the submission match between Bret and Stone Cold Steve Austin, a really, really good match. This match is considered by a lot of people the greatest match of all time, and I can see where people come from. I personally don't think it is, but I understand why people would say that. An awesome match, very bloody, and this really helped make a star in Stone Cold Steve Austin. So you could say WrestleMania 13 is another historically significant show. Next, we look at In Your House Canadian Stampede. Easily the best In Your House pay-per-view. I think there's no doubt about that, really. The main event was just amazing. There were no bad matches on here. I mean, granted, you didn't have that many matches, but they were all really good. Like, you had Undertaker and Vader was great. Triple H and Mankind. As I said, the main event, the Great Suzuki and Taka Michinoku, I believe it was those two wrestlers, I believe. They had a really good match. Just a really awesome show to sit through, and the Canadian fans are really into the show, especially the main event. I think the fans really helped with the main event and, helped to get it over, and I really enjoyed Canadian Stampede, one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time, in my opinion. Next, we look at SummerSlam 97, a really underrated pay-per-view. But some really, really good matches on here, such as the opener in the steel cage between Triple H and Mankind, Austin and Owen Hart, which, where Austin broke his neck. And this match, I think, in some ways actually helped Stone Cold Steve Austin become a star, because it showed that he was, one tough son of a bitch, and, he managed to have a great historical career despite having an almost career-ending neck injury. And the main event between Bret Hart and The Undertaker is great. And the whole Undertaker, the whole Shawn Michaels hitting Undertaker with the chair, and that led to a great Hell in the Cell match between those two in the future. So I think SummerSlam 1997 is definitely a memorable pay-per-view. But we are going to go on to Survivor Series 1997 now. Again, this is only memorable because of one match. And it's not even the in-ring work of the match, it's what happened at the end of the match. Shawn Michaels puts Bret Hart in the sharpshooter, Vince McMahon tells Earl Hebner to ring the bell, and the Montreal Screwjob was born. And Bret was on his way to WCW anyway, but he didn't want to drop the title to Shawn. You all know the story, I don't need to tell you guys. But this show, again, another show that really drastically affected the Monday Night Wars. And definitely, I would say, a pay-per-view that no wrestling fan will ever forget. We move on to 1998 now with WrestleMania 14. This, I like to say, is the birth of the Attitude Era. I think, the Austin era begun with him having a great match with a almost broken Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels' back was in awful condition at this time. He'd had a match with The Undertaker, the casket match, and fucked up his back. So, yeah, it was a really good match. You had Owen Hart and Triple H had a really good match as well. The dumpster match was fun. Am I missing? I feel like, oh yeah, Undertaker and Kane, of course. They had a great match too. It's a really awesome show. The birth of the Attitude Era, and you could really tell that there was a kind of a change, as something in the air. You could just tell that change was coming in the WWF at that time. Next we go to Survivor Series 1998, and no, SummerSlam. I keep saying Survivor Series for some reason. Sorry about that, guys. SummerSlam 1998. Probably, this is, I would say, the best pay-per-view of 1998. It's a really awesome show. You had the ladder match for the IC title, Austin and Taker. You had Owen Hart and Ken Shamrock in the Lion's Den match. You had Val Venus and D'Lo Brown, which is very underrated. Just an awesome show from top to bottom. And just a very memorable show. That Madison Square Garden crowd was really hot and really, really good that day. And it was just it's a really memorable show to go back and watch, and it's one of those shows that, creates a lot of memories, I would say. And unfortunately, there are this is the last pay-per-view of 1998, Survivor Series. I think this is an idea of how a tournament at a pay-per-view can work. We saw them try and do it at WrestleMania 4, and it kind of worked, but it wasn't as great. This was a fun show. I mean, in terms of wrestling, it's not necessarily the best, but it's just a fun show to watch. It's a fun little tournament. It was very enjoyable, and the whole recreation of the Montreal Screwjob a year later was actually, interesting, and The Rock winning his first WWF title. So I think this is definitely a memorable show. No pay-per-views from 1999, unfortunately. There was not really many memorable shows, I would say, from 99 in my opinion. I know some people may have a lot of memories from 1999, but I personally don't. So we'll move on to the year 2000 with the Royal Rumble. This is an awesome show. Once again, Madison Square Garden, just an awesome crowd, and arguably where Triple H's main event career was born. He beat Mick Foley in a street fight for the WWF title, and I think I think Triple H gained a lot more believers, a lot more fans after that match. I mean, he and Foley tore the house down, stole the show. Great match, one of the greatest matches of all time. You had The Rock win the Royal Rumble. You had the first ever tables match, which was awesome. Just a really awesome show to be a part of, really, just to watch. Backlash 2000. Again, this is an awesome show. Great wrestling from top to bottom. A lot of these 2000 shows are literally on here because of the great wrestling, such as, like the Backlash, Fully Loaded. Those are awesome shows. And Judgment Day as well. I think these are all have great matches on there. I'm going to kind of put these all in one category. They all had great matches, great main events, just awesome shows. So next we'll look at the 2001 Royal Rumble, and this is an awesome show. My favourite ladder match of all time between Benoit and Jericho, and the third best Royal Rumble, Triple H versus Kurt Angle in a very underrated title match. Just awesome show. Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys as well. That was a really fun match. Just a really good show from top to bottom. Nothing really to complain about on this show, and just very memorable with considering the match quality. Next we look at No Way Out 2001. Again, some great matches on here. So many awesome matches. You had the 3 Stages of Hell between Triple H and Austin, one of my favourite matches of all time. You had The Rock and Kurt Angle, the 4-way for the IC title, the tables match for the tag titles. Just awesome show. So many great matches on here. I would definitely put No Way Out 2001 as a memorable show. Next we go on to WrestleMania 17, the last show of 2001. Sorry about that. Just a quick drink there. Awesome pay-per-view, the second best pay-per-view, second best WrestleMania of all time. Awesome show, so many great matches. And this show is kind of the end of the Attitude Era, really, with the whole Austin heel turn, which, in my opinion, turned out to be pretty shit, if you ask me. I think it was dumb, but this is not about Austin and his heel turn. So many awesome matches. The main event match of the night, easily. TLC 2, some great matches, great stuff on that match. Angle and Benoit in an awesome technical match. Triple H and Undertaker in a great brawl. Am I missing something? And of course the McMahon street fight. That was great fun as well to watch. So WrestleMania 17, just so many great matches. You know, how could this not be on here? So next we go into 2000 we continue in 2001 with Survivor Series of 2001. This was the end of the Invasion angle, thank God. Yes, and a great main event with Team WWF and the Alliance. You know, I'm trying to think. There are definitely some other matches that are great on here, but I've just temporarily forgotten them. My mind just kind of blanked. But again, you could literally just say the show is memorable because of the end of the Invasion, and that's the main reason why the show's on here. So I would definitely check out Survivor Series 2001. Next, we move into 2002 with SummerSlam, and this is my third favourite pay-per-view of all time. Favourite SummerSlam easily. This is a great show. Just so many great matches on here. The comeback of HBK, Brock Lesnar being proclaimed, well, you know, coming in and winning his first title. Edge and Eddie Guerrero having, you know, stealing the show. Well, not stealing the show, but having a great match. Benoit and RVD having a great IC title match. Just so many great matches on here that, you know. And of course, Rey Mysterio and Kurt Angle, a great opener as well. I would definitely check out SummerSlam 2002 for some great wrestling. There was no bad matches on here. Just so many fun matches to, you know, watch, and definitely a blast to watch. Next, go on to No Mercy 2002. Probably the best tag team title match in WWE history, with Angle and Benoit taking on Rey Mysterio and Edge. Just an amazing tag team match. Awesome. Kane and Triple H had a solid world title match, and Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker tearing each other apart in the Hell in a Cell in a really awesome cell match that I think is very underrated in my opinion. So I would definitely check out No Mercy 2002. Again, it's a show with great in-ring matches. And then we go on to Survivor Series 2002. My personal favourite Survivor Series. So many great matches on here. A great moment with HBK winning the world title. You know, the great comeback story. Just awesome. It was such a great moment. One of my favourite also Survivor Series moments, and my favourite Survivor Series. Next we go on to my favourite pay-per-view of all time. WrestleMania 19. Damn, this was a good show. I mean, you had Michaels and Jericho stealing the show, the 5-star classic. You had Angle and Lesnar having a great main event title match. Austin and Rock one last time. Triple H and Booker T, I thought, pulled off a great world title match. A great tag title matchup as well, and the Vince Hogan street fight, that was very fun as well. So I definitely think WrestleMania 19, so many awesome matches, a very memorable show to go back and watch, some great Mania moments on there. I would definitely recommend checking out WrestleMania 19. Vengeance 2003, the first SmackDown pay-per-view and the best SmackDown pay-per-view. This is awesome. It reminds you of how awesome SmackDown was in 2003, with the likes of, you know, Angle, Lesnar, Undertaker, you know, an early blossoming John Cena. You know, and even had like matches like the tag title match was awesome between the world's greatest tag team, taking on Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman. Awesome match. Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero opening up with the US title tournament final. Awesome. Just a really awesome show, and really showcases how good SmackDown was in 2003. So next we'll look at the Royal Rumble 2004. This in itself was already really known for two matches: the awesome Last Man Standing match between Triple H and HBK, and the Royal Rumble, which in my opinion is the second best Rumble of all time. 2004 Royal Rumble, Chris Benoit winning the Rumble from number one. Say what you will about Benoit as a person, but as a wrestler he was awesome in the ring. A great moment at the time for Benoit winning the Rumble from number one and eliminating the Big Show. Just a really good Royal Rumble matchup. Next we got to No Way Out 2004. Again, this was a good show, but the main thing I want to talk about is the main event. Eddie Guerrero winning the WWE title against Lesnar. an awesome moment. It genuinely, you know, it's just a genuinely feel-good moment for wrestling fans to see Eddie Guerrero as the champion. You know, I don't think there's anyone who would disagree saying that Eddie deserved it. You know, everyone thought Eddie deserved it. A great moment to look back on. And then we go to WrestleMania 20. This is a memorable show for me because there's just so many awesome matches on here, like the main event, which is my personal favourite match of all time. Just an awesome match from bell to bell, just an amazing match. I really love this match. Angle and Guerrero for the WWE title. Christian and Chris Jericho in a underrated WrestleMania matchup. The Rock and Sock Connection versus Evolution. I think one thing that makes this show so memorable for me is as I said, you know, the main event being my favourite match of all time. I think that's what holds a special place in my heart for this show. Next we go on to WrestleMania 21 from 2005. This is a show where essentially you could argue 4 guys were made from this show. John Cena winning the WWE title, Batista winning the world title, Edge winning Money in the Bank, and Randy Orton putting on a great matchup with The Undertaker and looking like he's one for the future. And this show was about the future, and this show really showed the kind of the change that was coming in WWE, and that's why I think WrestleMania 21 is such a memorable show for me. Next we look at One Night Stand, the first One Night Stand ECW pay-per-view. Of course this is going to be on here. I mean, it's an awesome show, so many great, just such a fun show to watch, especially if especially if you're a fan of the original ECW. You know, some great nostalgia for, you know, old ECW fans, you know, so how could I not put the show on here? Just a really awesome show. Next we go to Vengeance 2005. Easily the best pay-per-view of 2005, not including the ECW pay-per-view. Just awesome. You had a great Hell in a Cell match between Triple H and Batista. They finally had a good match inside the cell. Awesome. Angle and HBK with a great matchup. HBK getting the win back from his WrestleMania loss, and a great triple threat for the WWE title. Seeing Cena take on Jericho and Christian. It's a really awesome show in terms of match quality, really. That's what makes it so memorable for me. This next one's a bit strange, because it wasn't actually a very good pay-per-view, if I'm being honest. But for me, as a fan of this wrestler, this show is, you know, obviously going to hold a special place in my heart. New Year's Revolution 2006, Edge winning the WWE title, cashing in on John Cena. You know, I mean, if some people on here know me quite well, they know obviously Edge is my favourite wrestler, so this was gonna have to be on here. I know a lot of people won't feel the same way, but that's just my personal opinion. Next we go on to the second One Night Stand pay-per-view, this one from 2006. This was, again, a really fun show, not as good as the original one. There's some great matches on here, great moment with RVD winning the world title, that awesome mixed hardcore match, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, and there was just Rey Mysterio and Sabu as well, having an awesome Extreme Rules match. It didn't even go that long, but was still awesome to watch anyway. So yeah, I think One Night Stand 2006 is very good in terms of its match quality and a memorable main event, and the crowd was awesome. This pay-per-view isn't so good. In fact, it's probably the worst pay-per-view of all time, and you probably know what I'm talking about. December to Dismember 2006. Christ, this was bad. Like, really bad. Like, very bad. Everything on this show sucked, except for the opener, which was, you know, solid. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to talk about this show, really. It was so bad. You know, the chamber just sucked. It was... Once RVD and Punk were out of that chamber, you know, the crowd were out of it, and it was just shit, and there was nothing really that memorable from the show, really. But that's quite weird, because this is about memorable pay-per-views, but you know what I'm saying. It's so bad that it's memorable, kind of thing. Next, from 2007, there's not really for me many memorable pay-per-views. I think that was a bit of a dark kind of year. I mean, I was thinking of putting on WrestleMania 23, but I decided not to in the end, although I do love that WrestleMania. So we move on to WrestleMania 24, which is, in my opinion, the third greatest Mania. This was awesome. I mean, you had, obviously, my favourite wrestler, Edge, main eventing against The Undertaker, so obviously, you know, that helps, adds to the nostalgia a bit. Of course, a career-threatening match, how could you forget that? That's just an amazing match of the night. Such a memorable moment. Ric Flair, his last match in WWE against Shawn Michaels, just awesome stuff. CM Punk winning the Money in the Bank, a great Money in the Bank ladder match. A very good triple threat for the WWE title, and yeah, this is just a really good show in terms of wrestling and some really good moments on this show. We then go to SummerSlam of 2008. Again, this is again, Edge in the main event, always gonna hold a special place in my heart against The Undertaker. Great cell match. Awesome to go back and watch. So many brutal spots. These guys just went to town on one another. Just an awesome show to sit back and watch, you know, from bell to bell. Nothing bad on it at all. Some great wrestling. You know, as I said, the Hell in a Cell main event. Cena and Batista for the first time one-on-one. Triple H pulling out Khali's best match in his career. You had, what else? You had a solid world title match between CM Punk and JBL, much better than I expected, and just a really kind of great show to watch as well. So next we go on to No Way Out of 2009. Once again, another Edge-dominated pay-per-view. What a surprise. But no, this pay-per-view started off with Edge losing the world title in the Elimination Chamber, the WWE title, sorry, in the Elimination Chamber. Within like 5 minutes, Jeff Hardy rolls him up, he's eliminated, gone. Triple H goes on to win the WWE title in a great chamber match, one of the best, and then you had a great street fight between Shane McMahon and Randy Orton as well. That was actually quite an underrated match in my opinion. And then the main event, Kofi Kingston's making his way to the ring, Edge attacks him, Edge inserts himself into the chamber, Edge wins the world title. Edge, arguably, you know, and I love that. It was such an original, it's such a kind of Edge thing to do, you know, the ultimate opportunist, you know, take any opportunity you see, and I just think that was a really awesome thing to happen, and Edge winning the world title, I really enjoyed this show. Next we look at WrestleMania 26 from 2010. I think we can all agree 2010 was a very poor year for WWE, but this show was awesome in my opinion. I think the main event is my second favourite match of all time. I think it's better than their 25 match. I think it's just an amazing matchup. I think the stipulation of career versus streak and the no DQ really added to the drama of the match in my opinion, and just a very sad moment to see Shawn Michaels' last match against The Undertaker. And also he had a solid Money in the Bank. Edge and Jericho had a great world title match. Batista and Cena delivered a solid match as well. And yeah, I just really enjoyed WrestleMania 26. Next, Money in the Bank 2011. Awesome wrestling and an awesome main event between Punk and Cena. Great moments in Punk finally win the WWE title and blowing a kiss to Vince McMahon and when we thought he was gone. And just a really awesome crowd as well throughout, especially in the main event. Added to the main event in my opinion. Just an awesome match to watch. And for that reason, I remember Money in the Bank 2011. Next we go on to WrestleMania 28. This holds a special place for me because it's the first pay-per-view I saw live with friends. So me and my buddies, we all watched it. It's the first time we ever did that. So that was, you know, obviously that holds a special place. But it was a good show as well. I mean, once in a lifetime between Cena and Rock. A great match there. The awesome Hell in a Cell end of an era match. You know, just an amazing match. One of the best match in recent memory, in my opinion. And then you had, yeah, Punk and Jericho as well having an awesome WWE title match. So, you know, how can I not put WrestleMania 28 on this memorable pay-per-views list? SummerSlam 2013. Again, this is a bit of an interesting one because it was a really good show. You had Cena and Bryan having an awesome match. You had Punk and Lesnar having the match of the night. Christian and Del Rio had a great World Heavyweight title match. And yeah, this was just a really fun show. And also one thing, I remember this was another show that me and some of my buddies were going to watch, and basically none of them could come, so I was feeling a bit down going into the pay-per-view. I was kind of like, oh, you know. But then this show really lightened up my mood, and I almost forgot about them. So this, you know, was a good pay-per-view to kind of lift my spirit. So yeah, next we look at WrestleMania 30, the night of Daniel Bryan. Kicked off and ended the show with two awesome matches, awesome triple threat to end the night. Great match, Triple H to kick it off. Cena and Wyatt, I thought, had a very good matchup as well. Obviously, Undertaker losing at WrestleMania, that is a moment that wrestling fans will never forget. No one saw it coming. Cesaro winning the Battle Royal felt like a genuine big moment at the time. The opening segment with Austin, Rock, and Hogan, that was a great segment. And WrestleMania 30, definitely a memorable show. So many great moments on there. This one may seem a bit strange, but Survivor Series 2014 I've put on here, and it's simply because of one thing and one thing only: Sting's debut. Now, I think that's enough to make a pay-per-view memorable. It was such an awesome moment to see Sting come out into a WWE ring, you know, hit the Scorpion Death Drop. Just an awesome moment. Awesome to see Sting in the WWE. And the final pay-per-view, very recent from this year, WrestleMania 31. And the reason I say this is memorable, because I like to title this WrestleMania the WrestleMania that proved me wrong, because this is a really good show. I think you had a great the ladder match kicked off the show really well. Orton and Rollins had a really good match as well. You had, you know, the return of the Undertaker, you know, and he looked in better shape than he did last year, which was, you know, obviously great to see. And then you had the main event between Lesnar and Reigns. That was really good. That was match of the night, in my opinion. Just a really solid matchup to see. And obviously the Rollins cash-in, which really really nice way to end the show. And, you know, WrestleMania 31 for me, the WrestleMania that proved me wrong, definitely will always stick in my memory for proving me wrong. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, if you stuck to the end. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe.